I learned the hard way not to date dudes anymore who smoke usually trash. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna give you some examples. And then I'm actually gonna share a few examples from people who added to my last video talking about this, because I didn't realize I'm the only one who's had some serious problems with men who smoke. Before you get upset, I'm not against, right? I'm glad they legalized it. Very happy, especially medicinal purposes. And I'm not against using it in general. But the men who were the worst men I have ever dated were stoners. There's a few reasons for that. Okay, first of all, a lot of the men who are total potheads who literally can't go without it. They can't go without it for a whole day, much less a week, or some of them can't even go without it for a few hours. My abusive ex did it all the time, and he called it his medicine. And at first I was like, ugh. And also that's one reason why he never paid rent. He didn't contribute to anything in the household whatsoever. He was a hobosexual. He literally moved into my house while I was on family vacation and never left. Had a banjo, a backpack, was a rail rider, literally a hobosexual. And I couldn't figure out, where does all this man's money go? That and other things. Beer, cigarettes, literally all his money went to that. So he couldn't afford rent or literally anything. So that's the first reason. They don't contribute financially to the household because their number one priority is their fix. Now this could go with alcohol or anything else. Games, whatever it is, their hobby that is basically an addiction, but legal. But even more importantly, a lot of these men who can't go without it have serious anger issues. Okay? They are rageful, angry men. And I know this because when I was a raft guide, most of the men that I worked with were total stoners. And the ones who were the worst to work with were the ones who were stoners who didn't do it before work. Like at work, they're so cool, they're so funny, la 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 la, but only because they're high. On days that they didn't smoke before work, they were total dicks, right? They were awful to work with because they had a very short temper. Their sense of humor was gone. And that's what I realized dating that dude is he's real chill and cool when he's high, but try being with him when he's not. In the beginning, I was resentful that he smoked so much and I kind of wished he wouldn't. And by the end, I was nervous if he wasn't smoking. I was even happy to give him money to go buy that. And that's also how they weaponize their moods, right? So even if they're not in a bad mood, they know that that they're insufferable to be around and they're in a bad mood. So part of it is about the weed and part of it is just about them weaponizing their moods to keep you on eggshells so that you're in a constant state of fight or flight or freeze, more like it. And so you never actually ask yourself the hard questions and sit with deep emotions because you can't feel anything because you're like this all the time. And then this one dude got me to smoke it. At first I was like, no, whatever. And I went to kid jail for this when I was 17 in Tennessee. And my experience as a white girl was nothing compared to what I would have experienced if I was Black, Indigenous, or another woman of color, but especially if I was a Black woman in the South. My life would have been ruined from that arrest. But I went to kid jail, wore the jumpsuit, they searched my hair for stuff. They made me bend over, spread my cheeks apart, and cough to make sure it's not up my butt. I was on house arrest for a whole summer, state probation for a year, lost my license for a year, had to take, random drug tests. So I just tapped out. I was like, I don't need that in my life. Not worth the risk. And then this bum enters my life, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, why not? That somehow this man convinced me to start smoking. I didn't even want to smoke. But I did notice, and it's not that I'm against this stuff. Again, I like doing it every once in a while maybe, but only when I'm because it makes me more sensitive down here, right? And so I noticed that when I'm, sometimes it's, the kitty cat is a little bit more activated. But anyway, that's the only reason I like it. This guy smoked it all the time. So I started smoking it a lot. I lost my confidence. I started eating more when I wasn't really hungry. And most importantly, I had the brain fog of it so that I couldn't really sit and ask myself, why am I with this loser, right? I became number and number. Plus, he used that plus sleep deprivation and all the other tools that narcissist abusers use to keep you from ever leaving them. so that you hate yourself more and more every day. But that was just that one dude. Like the rage that is behind men who have these problems with smoking, a lot of times it's covering up something very scary. So if you go on a date with a guy who does it a lot, hang out with him when he's not. I dare you. In the beginning, hang out with him when he's not and make sure he's not, because he's a different person a lot of times and you don't want to be dating or married to that person. And so you will somehow become a champion of his addiction, even though it's not an addiction, okay? Well, like, I know it's not physically addictive, but you cannot convince me that it's not like mentally addictive on some level. The same way, gambling is not physically addictive and eating isn't physically addictive, but people absolutely compulsively do these things and it ruins their lives. So it doesn't, whatever. Again, I'm not against weed, okay? I promise. But I'm against men who do it all the time to hide something, or they hide the fact that they do it all the time until you get in a relationship with them. I'm against men who do it all the time, and so they're already like low-level ambition is just squashed. So they become more lazy and they play more video games and they never get off the couch. That's what I don't like, because I promise you, I'm not saying all women are just amazing and never, okay? Like, we know that, right? But because of the pressures of being a woman in patriarchy, even when women are like lazy, we're still usually doing more than men who are in the exact same situation, because we're always supposed to take care of somebody. Again, I'm not saying that there are no women who are just awful behaving in whatever, okay? Like, please don't come at me, but my one girlfriend, I know, okay? And the other thing is that a lot of men use earn because it's not addictive. But guess what? They may actually be raging alcoholics. And they think that, and they haven't done the real work to deal with that addiction, which is a deadly addiction that ruins their lives, sometimes takes their lives, and sometimes takes the lives of people, strangers on the street, or any people in their lives, right? So it's, alcoholism and wrong addiction, that stuff is it's so deadly. And so some of them know they can't do that, so they smoke all the time. And so they never really do the hard work of, why are you doing this? What is leading to this? The hard work is going inward and facing all your demons and finding other ways to deal with your emotions and this crazy mind that wants you to keep doing that stuff. But a lot of men will just smoke. And they're like, yeah. And then one day comes and they start drinking again, or they start doing, or whatever it is, because they were never really sober. They were just using the not as addictive thing. And when that day comes, the guy that you were like, oh, he just, smokes sometime. Now you got a full-blown addict in your house who will literally ruin you financially, ruin you emotionally, mess your nervous system up for life and your trust issues forever, and may even unalive you outright when they're in a violent fit, or slowly through your nervous system, because they don't have to lay a hand on you to take years off of your life. And one of the people on my YouTube, which if you're not following me over there, please do, because that is where I'm spending most of my time now, and my content is longer over there. I dated 2 weed cells. I love this word. Thank you for this word. Never heard this word. And both downplayed it in the beginning and hid their full-blown addiction. So someone added this comment, which is, I don't know enough about this, but it says it causes anger because cannabis replaces some of the chemicals from the nervous system. When the weed heads haven't smoked for a few hours, they lose that replace panic and the chemical replaces transmitter, blah, blah, blah. So, read that yourself. So if they already aren't doing this to hide their anger issues already, they're gonna become angry people because of, okay? We really need to be taking this more seriously. This one right here, not to mention it kills their drive. It does. It's like they're lazy bums on the couch who won't do anything. And in addition to that, they won't fork you. And they definitely won't eat that. Worthless lovers. And then this comment, I love this one, because I'm not saying that this doesn't cause problems for women. I'm not saying that women aren't addicts too. But this is what I have found. I don't know if it affects us differently chemically. I don't know what it is. But the women that I know who smoke are totally fine, not lazy, and still prioritize important things over any day. Have careers and know when it's time to work and when to play. That right there. When it comes to dating men, this, huge red flag.